The warning signal. The patrol fleet of the Galactic Empire moved slowly above a giant planet covered in storms. The gas giant was dark, its clouds thick like rolling smoke, flashing with silent lightning far below. 3 destroyer-class ships drifted in formation, watching space with tired precision. For the crew, it was supposed to be another quiet shift in a long and uneventful patrol. The Empire had ruled for so long that no one expected trouble. On the bridge of the lead destroyer, a young officer leaned over the sensor console. His eyes scanned the glowing lines and numbers, the steady rhythm of a system that almost never changed. He rubbed his eyes once, convinced he was tired, but then leaned closer. A new reading had appeared at the far edge of the screen. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat out of rhythm with the calm waves of space. "Commander," the officer said quietly, trying to control the shake in his voice. "I am detecting something strange." The commander, a tall and severe man with silver hair, walked over. He looked down at the console and frowned. "Strange how?" "It is a ship, sir," the officer replied. "But the system cannot identify it. No registry code, no transponder signal, nothing." The commander's eyes narrowed. Every vessel in Imperial space carried identification. Freighters, patrol craft, even civilian transports, all were logged and approved. To encounter something without one was not just rare. It was almost impossible. He placed a hand on the officer's shoulder. "Run it again," he ordered. The officer's fingers moved quickly over the controls. The screen cleared, recalibrated, and then returned with the same echo. A vessel was there, far away but closing in. The display pulsed with its movement, each sweep drawing it nearer. "It is no error," the officer whispered. Silence fell over the bridge. Men and women looked up from their stations. Conversations died. Even the hum of the ship seemed heavier. The commander straightened, his face hard. "Open visual range," he said. The main screen flickered, first showing only stars and the black gulf of space. Then out of the darkness a shape emerged. At first it looked like a shadow, too large to be real. Slowly the details became clear. A massive warship drifted forward, its hull black and jagged, absorbing the faint light of distant stars. Red engines glowed dimly at its rear like the eyes of some ancient predator. No one spoke. "That is no freighter," one crewman finally muttered. His voice was barely a whisper. The commander did not answer. He studied the shape in silence, feeling a chill work through him. The Empire's databases held designs of every ship ever built under its rule. This vessel was not one of them. It was not even close. Its form was sharper, more angular, its armor plates thicker and darker than any the Empire deployed. It looked ancient and new at the same time, a contradiction that unsettled the mind. "Send a signal," the commander ordered at last. His voice was firm, though his eyes betrayed unease. "Unregistered vessel, this is Imperial Patrol. Identify yourself." The communication officer transmitted the message. They waited. The bridge remained quiet, all ears straining for a reply. Seconds stretched into minutes, but nothing came back. "Try again," the commander said. The message was repeated, louder and sharper. Still no response. The unknown ship continued forward, ignoring the hail completely. On the sensors, the readings grew stranger. Energy levels spiked, far beyond what was normal for a vessel of that size. Its engines burned hot, and something deeper inside pulsed with power that the computers could not classify. The officer shook his head in disbelief. "Sir, this ship is too strong. The armor is denser than our system can even measure. And its reactor..." His voice faltered. "Its reactor is producing more energy than an entire fleet combined." The commander's jaw tightened. For a moment he did not answer. He turned to the crew, his face pale but controlled. "Send the report to High Command," he said. "Mark it as urgent." At once the message was prepared and dispatched across the secure channels. The officers worked quickly, but their movements carried the weight of fear. Something about the intruder ship broke their sense of certainty. For centuries the Empire had taught its people that no power could rival it, that no technology could surpass it. But here was proof of something else, something unknown. The commander returned to the main screen. The ship was closer now, its engines glowing brighter. He felt as if it were staring at them, though no face could be seen. It had chosen its path, and it was heading straight for the Empire's heart. On the lower deck, whispers spread between younger crew members. Some thought it might be rebels, others said aliens, but no one truly believed their own words. The shape of that vessel felt different, almost human yet beyond human design. The commander raised a hand, silencing the voices. "Stay sharp," he said. "We do not know who or what this vessel is, but we will not show weakness. Prepare defensive positions. If it comes too close, we will block its path." The crew obeyed, but unease filled the air. The officer at the sensor console kept staring at the numbers climbing higher, watching the impossible readings scroll past his eyes. His heart pounded. Finally, he whispered again, his voice trembling in the cold silence of the bridge. "Commander, that vessel should not exist." The commander did not answer. He simply watched as the unregistered warship moved closer, cutting through the black sea of stars, its engines burning red like the warning of something ancient awakening. And in that moment, every soul aboard the Imperial destroyer felt the same truth. The galaxy was no longer safe, and the Empire's certainty had just begun to crack. The command's fear. The warning report traveled through the Empire's secure channels at light speed, carried from the patrol fleet to the central communication hub of High Command. Inside the grand chambers of the Imperial capital, the message was received by officers in polished uniforms. At first they thought it was a mistake. An unregistered ship of that size? Impossible. Every corner of the galaxy was mapped, every vessel catalogued. Yet the data stood firm. The chamber was filled with tension as senior officials gathered around a wide holographic table. The projection displayed the shadowy vessel now drifting closer into Imperial space. Its design was alien to their eyes, but the readings were unmistakable. Its size dwarfed their own destroyers. Its energy levels seemed impossible, breaking every known limit of engineering. Admiral Saran, a man of sharp features and cold authority, stepped forward. "This cannot be real," he said firmly. "Some officer in the patrol fleet is panicking over a sensor malfunction. We will confirm this before embarrassing ourselves." But General Kale, a scarred veteran with decades of campaigns behind him, slammed his fist against the table. "Do not dismiss this, Admiral. Look at those readings. That ship is not one of ours, and it is not a simple error. Whoever commands it has the power to challenge us." Murmurs rose across the room. Some officers exchanged worried glances. Others whispered about rebellion or an alien race hiding beyond the stars. The Empire had ruled unchallenged for generations. No one dared oppose it openly. But if this ship was real, then something had been growing in the shadows. Something the Empire had failed to see. The Emperor's voice cut through the room, deep and commanding. Though he was not physically present, his image flickered above them in the form of a massive hologram. His eyes burned with suspicion and pride. "You are my highest commanders," he said slowly, "and you stand here shaking like children. Tell me, what is this vessel?" No one answered immediately. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Finally, General Kale spoke. "We do not know, my Emperor, but it is headed toward us. And it is not stopping." The Emperor's face darkened. "Then stop it. I will not allow panic to spread. If it is a rebel craft, crush it. If it is alien, destroy it. The Empire will not bow to ghosts and shadows." At once orders spread. A fleet was dispatched, 3 destroyers and 1 cruiser, to intercept the vessel before it could enter deeper space. Across the Empire, whispers grew. Something unregistered, something that powerful, was enough to shake even the most loyal. Soldiers began to question what they had always been told, that the Empire's rule was absolute. Back on the patrol destroyer, the crew listened as the orders came down. They were to hold position until reinforcements arrived. The commander's face was calm, but his eyes betrayed his unease. "High Command believes it may be a rebel warship," he said aloud to the crew. "We are to delay it until stronger forces arrive." A murmur ran through the bridge. The younger officers clung to the explanation. Rebels, that made sense. At least rebels were human. At least rebels were known, but deep down, no one truly believed it. The ship's design was unlike anything built by rebels. It carried the weight of something more. The officer at the sensors, the same one who had first noticed the signal, spoke quietly. "Commander, the ship is accelerating. It is no longer drifting. It is moving directly on course for Imperial space." The commander leaned closer, his eyes fixed on the glowing numbers. The vessel was indeed moving faster, its engines burning hotter, its trajectory sharp and intentional. It was not wandering. It had a target. "Does it answer our hails?" the commander asked. "No, sir," the communication officer replied. "It ignores everything. It is as if we do not exist." The words chilled the crew. To be ignored was worse than to be threatened. It meant the intruder did not fear them, did not even consider them worth answering. Far away, the fleet reinforcements began their journey. But for the patrol crew, every minute felt endless. They watched the vessel grow larger on their screens, the details of its surface becoming clearer. The armor was scarred as if from old battles, yet it looked stronger than anything they had ever seen. It was not a new ship. It was a survivor. The commander finally turned to his crew. His voice was steady but heavy with unspoken dread. "We will not break. This is Imperial space. We will hold the line until reinforcements arrive. The Empire does not run from shadows." The crew nodded, though their hearts told them otherwise. The officer at the sensors whispered to himself, too softly for others to hear. "This is no rebel ship. This is something else, something older." And so they waited. The intruder advanced. In the heart of the Empire, generals prepared fleets and the Emperor demanded victory. But in the silence between stars, fear grew stronger. The Empire, which had believed itself eternal, was about to learn that something far greater had come to its doorstep. First contact attempt. The black warship moved across the stars with a steady, unstoppable pace. On the patrol destroyer, every pair of eyes was fixed on the main screen. The shape grew larger, filling the void like a predator emerging from the darkness. The crew whispered among themselves, but the commander silenced them with a raised hand. "Maintain composure," he ordered. His voice was steady, though his jaw was tight. "We will establish contact again. Communications officer, send the hail." "Yes, sir." The officer activated the comms. His voice echoed across the open channel, firm and demanding. "Unregistered vessel, this is Imperial space. Identify yourself immediately." They waited. The bridge was silent except for the hum of the ship's systems. Seconds dragged into long, heavy moments. The unknown vessel offered nothing in return. No sound, no code, no recognition at all. The officer tried again, louder. "Unregistered vessel, respond at once. Failure to comply will be considered hostile." Still nothing. The comms were met only with the emptiness of space. The commander turned to his crew. "They are ignoring us. Bring all systems online. Shields at full. Weapons powered, but do not fire unless I give the order." At once the destroyer came alive. Energy flowed through its systems. Shields shimmered into place and weapon banks lit with power. The two other destroyers in the patrol mirrored the action, forming a line across the warship's path. Their formation was tight, precise, an old dance perfected through years of drills. But the unknown vessel did not slow. "Sir," the sensor officer said, his voice pale. "The ship is scanning us." Strong energy waves. "It is studying our systems." The commander's face hardened. "Then let it study. It will see that we are not weak." Another officer spoke up. "Sir, it is not just scanning, it is overwhelming our sensors. I cannot read through the interference. Its technology is stronger than ours." The words hung in the air like smoke. Stronger than the Empire. No one wanted to say it aloud, but the thought was clear in every mind. The commander straightened, pulling his shoulders back. "Then we will show them who controls this galaxy." Through the main channel, the voice of the lead destroyer broadcast once more. "Unregistered vessel, this is your final warning. Stop immediately or we will fire." For the first time, something happened. The unknown warship shifted. The engines flared brighter, glowing like molten fire, and the vessel tilted slightly, aligning itself directly with the patrol formation. "Sir," the communication officer whispered. "They heard us, but they are not stopping." The commander's hand tightened on the railing in front of him. His crew looked to him for guidance. Fear filled their eyes, but so did expectation. To hesitate was weakness. To retreat was shame. The Empire did not retreat. "Hold your ground," the commander said firmly. "If they cross the line, we fire." The destroyers braced themselves. Weapons locked, shields crackled, and hearts pounded. The warship glided closer, now filling the screen with its jagged armor. It looked less like a vessel and more like some ancient beast wearing metal as its skin. Its hull carried deep scars, long burns, and impact marks, but still it moved with unshaken power. The crew waited. Seconds turned into eternity. The line had been drawn. The intruder was about to cross it. "Target in range," the weapons officer reported. The commander gave a single nod. "Fire a warning shot." The destroyer's cannons roared. A streak of plasma fire shot into the void, cutting across the warship's path. The shot blazed with light, illuminating the enemy ship's hull for a moment before fading. Silence followed. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. The unknown vessel slowed, but only for an instant. Then its engines burned brighter than before. It did not retreat. It did not stop. It surged forward, ignoring the warning as if the Empire's power were nothing more than a flicker of light. "Sir," the weapons officer whispered. "It is coming straight for us." Before the commander could answer, alarm screamed. The unknown warship's hull shifted. Plates slid apart with mechanical precision, and from its dark body emerged long, sharp weapons glowing with crimson energy. The bridge froze. The crew stared in shock. The ship had revealed its teeth. "Incoming power surge," the sensor officer shouted. "Their weapons are charging." The commander snapped into action. "Shields at maximum. All ships, brace for impact." The first blast came like thunder. A beam of energy tore through the void, striking the lead destroyer's shields. The ship shuddered violently, lights flickering, alarms wailing. Sparks showered from consoles. "Shields down to 60%. An officer cried. The warship fired again. The second destroyer tried to maneuver, but the beam cut across its side. Metal screamed as armor peeled away like paper. The ship spun, smoke and flames spilling into the void. "They are tearing through us." The commander clenched his fists. His fleet was being crushed in seconds, but still he refused to show fear. "Return fire. All weapons, fire everything." The destroyers unleashed their fury. Cannons, torpedoes, and beams rained against the enemy ship. Explosions rippled across its hull, filling the void with light. But when the smoke cleared, the warship remained, its armor barely scarred. "It is not working," the weapons officer whispered. His hands trembled on the controls. "We cannot damage it." The commander's voice was steady, though his heart pounded. "Keep firing. Show them the Empire will not break." But inside he knew the truth. They were standing against something far beyond them, something they could not stop, and still the warship advanced. The first strike. The void burned with light. Imperial weapons streaked toward the unregistered warship, their fire filling the darkness like a storm of falling stars. Torpedoes exploded against the vessel's black hull. Beams of energy struck from every angle, and cannon fire echoed like thunder across space. For a brief moment, the bridge crew allowed themselves to hope. But when the smoke cleared, that hope died. The unknown warship moved forward, its armor glowing faintly where the blasts had struck, but the damage was nothing. The hull looked as if it had absorbed the fire, swallowing the Empire's power like it was nothing more than rain against a mountain. It did not even scratch them. The sensor officer whispered, his voice pale. The commander's eyes locked on the massive vessel. He forced his voice to stay firm. "Keep firing. Do not let up. We will slow it down until reinforcements arrive." But deep inside he knew the truth. Reinforcements would not matter. Nothing the Empire had could match this ship. The unknown warship answered at last. Its weapons opened with precision and silence, a terrifying contrast to the chaos of the destroyer's fire. From its jagged flanks, red beams erupted, slicing through the void like blades. The first strike tore into the second destroyer. Shields collapsed instantly. Armor plates melted away, and in one blinding flash the ship was split in two. Fire spilled out into the blackness, and bodies were pulled into the void. The vessel, once proud, was gone in seconds. Nothing more than debris drifting silently across the stars. Gasps filled the patrol's lead destroyer. Officers froze at their stations. They had trained for battle. They had faced rebels and pirates. But never had they seen destruction so fast, so effortless. "They destroyed it with a single strike," the weapons officer said, his voice breaking. "One strike?" The commander gripped the railing so hard his knuckles turned white. "Focus, keep firing. They will not break us all so easily." But already the warship turned again, its glowing weapons shifting with deadly calm. Another beam fired, striking the third destroyer across its side. The ship tried to roll away, shields flaring, but the beam cut straight through. The destroyer shuddered, explosions ripping along its spine, and then it drifted powerless, fires burning across its hull. "Second ship crippled," the sensor officer cried. "They are tearing us apart." The commander's ship was the only one still standing, and now it bore the full gaze of the intruder. The black vessel glided forward, its engines glowing brighter, its weapons shifting toward them. On the bridge, the crew held their breath. Fear spread like fire, but so did a strange silence. They all felt the same thing. This enemy was not fighting them. It was judging them, sir. The communication officer whispered. "They are hailing us." Every head turned. For the first time, the unregistered warship was sending a signal. The commander gave a sharp nod. Put it through, the screen flickered. For a moment, static filled the air. Then a voice came across the channel. Calm, cold human, this is your only warning. Stand down, the bridge froze. The voice was not alien. It was not mechanical. It was human, clear, strong, and steady. Yet no Imperial ship, no Imperial fleet had ever sounded like that. The commander's heart thudded. He leaned forward. Identify yourself. By whose authority do you enter Imperial space? Silence followed for a long moment. Then the voice returned, deeper, firmer. By no authority but our own. We do not recognize your empire. We are humanity. The crew looked at one another in disbelief. The word carried weight. Humanity. A word that felt both familiar and foreign, like a name long forgotten. The empire had consumed countless worlds, crushing cultures, erasing histories. But now something had risen in secret, and it had power beyond anything the empire could imagine. The commander felt a chill run through him. He understood in that instant that his destroyer was not fighting an intruder. It was standing at the edge of something much greater, a storm that would change the galaxy. The warship fired again, but this time, it did not strike to kill. Its beam cut across space, passing so close to the destroyer's hull that the entire ship shook violently. Lights dimmed, consoles sparked, and men and women fell to the floor. The message was clear. The warship could destroy them in a heartbeat, but it chose not to. Sir, the weapons officer said, his voice shaking. They are sparing us. The commander straightened, forcing his fear deep inside. They want us alive, to carry the warning. The warship turned slowly, its engines blazing with crimson fire. Then, like a shadow dissolving into darkness, it accelerated away, vanishing into the void with terrifying speed. Within moments it was gone. The bridge was silent. Only the sound of alarms and the faint crackle of damaged systems remained. The crew stared at the screen, empty space before them where the impossible vessel had been. The commander finally spoke. His voice was low but steady. Transmit everything to High Command. Every detail. They must know what we have seen. The sensor officer nodded, though his hands still shook. Yes, sir. The commander turned toward the vast blackness outside. His eyes narrowed. He had seen the truth. The Empire was not alone. It had never been alone. And now humanity had returned, not as rebels, not as subjects, but as something greater. And for the first time in his long service, the commander felt the one thing no Imperial soldier dared admit: fear. Humanity revealed. The bridge of the Imperial destroyer was silent long after the warship vanished. Only the crackle of damaged systems and the faint echo of alarms remained. Smoke drifted from broken panels and the smell of burning wires filled the air. Men and women sat frozen at their stations, staring into the void where the intruder had disappeared. The commander finally spoke. His voice was low but steady. Record everything. Every detail. This encounter must be sent to High Command without delay. The communication officer nodded quickly, though his hands trembled as he worked. The crew obeyed, but the fear in their eyes was unmistakable. For the first time in their lives, they had seen something stronger than the Empire. The sensor officer whispered, barely loud enough for others to hear. Sir, that voice. It was human. The commander turned his head. His eyes narrowed. Yes, human, but not Imperial. The word struck the crew like a hammer. Every person on that bridge had grown up under the Empire's rule. They were taught that humanity had been absorbed into the Great Order, scattered and broken, forced into obedience across countless worlds. Yet here was proof that humans had built something greater in secret, something powerful enough to shake the Empire itself. Where did they come from? Another officer asked softly. No one answered. The question was too large, too heavy. Far away in the halls of Imperial High Command, the news spread like fire. The surviving destroyer's report reached the generals and admirals within hours. The holographic recording played before them. The massive warship, the destruction of 2 Imperial vessels, the crimson beams cutting through shields as if they were nothing. And then the voice, calm, human, defiant. This is a vessel of humanity. We do not recognize the authority of your empire. The chamber erupted. Generals shouted, admirals cursed, and officers demanded answers. Who were these humans? Where had they built such ships? How had the Empire not seen this threat rise? The Emperor's image loomed above them, his face grim and furious. Silence! His voice shook the chamber. The officers froze. His eyes burned with cold fire. For centuries, the Empire has ruled unchallenged. And now you bring me tales of shadows and ghosts? Humanity is scattered, weak, broken. They do not have the strength to build such a vessel. This is a trick, a lie. But General Kale, the scarred veteran, stood firm. My Emperor, the recording is clear. This is no trick. This is no malfunction. That ship was real, and it destroyed our fleet as if it were nothing. The Emperor's expression hardened. He would not admit fear, not before his commanders. But deep inside, a seed of doubt took root. Meanwhile, across the Empire, whispers began to spread. Soldiers spoke in hushed voices. Civilians in distant colonies repeated rumors carried by traders and smugglers. A human warship had appeared. It had defied the Empire. It had destroyed Imperial ships without effort. The story spread faster than fire in dry grass, and with every telling, hope stirred among the oppressed. Back aboard the damaged destroyer, the crew worked in silence, repairing systems and sending transmissions. But their thoughts were elsewhere. The commander stood at the viewport, his eyes on the stars. He remembered the voice. Calm, steady, human. This is humanity. The word echoed in his mind. Humanity. It was not just a name. It was a declaration. Whoever they were, they had chosen to rise again, not as slaves, not as rebels, but as something greater. The young censor officer approached quietly. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with curiosity. Sir, if they are human, then why do they hide? Why do they only reveal themselves now? The commander did not turn. He kept his gaze on the stars. Because they waited. They watched. And now they are ready. The officer swallowed hard. Ready for what? The commander finally looked at him, his eyes grim. War. The word hung in the air like a shadow. Around the bridge, officers froze. No one wanted to believe it, but deep inside they knew it was true. Humanity had returned, and they had come with weapons that the Empire could not match. As the destroyer limped back toward Imperial space, every soul aboard carried the same weight. They had witnessed the beginning of something greater than themselves. The balance of power had shifted. For centuries, the Empire had believed it ruled without rival. But now a new force had appeared, a force born from the ashes of forgotten people, a force that called itself humanity, and the galaxy would never be the same again.